So good afternoon, everyone. Let's begin with the technical session 2 of this case study designing and writing workshop. Uh, I'd request Dr. Pankaj Madan to kindly take over the session.
Thank you, Dr. Linu. Uh, okay, so guys, are you prepared for the next session? Welcome back. And I would request the organizers to please give a control to the participants also. They can speak out. So in my first session, let me revise that we have seen that what is case study, how to choreograph a case, how to go for a uh, teaching plan, means a timetable or a schedule for teaching plan of 2 hours of a class, how to choreograph that. And also we came to know, we understood that what is the difference between the assignment questions and the discussion question. And then finally we concluded, and I have shown you a demonstration of a case and a teaching notes also. So for the case, I have given to you Assistant Professor Joe, but I haven't provided you the teaching notes deliberately. Why? Because this is a workshop and I want you to actually do some homework on that and do some self-study regarding that, because but I have shown you that what are the parts of a teaching notes. And one of the important aspect, we cannot cover the whole thing in this short session of 1.5 hours, but one of the important aspect that how actually the discussion will be conducted in the class, we want to demonstrate that and we will practice that. And I told you that whatever questions that are to be discussed in the class that are being provided in the teaching notes. But for this assistant professor Joe, I haven't provided you. And I have asked you, I have requested you to design at least 2 or 3 questions from your side. And let's see that how those questions are. And also in the first session, uh, I have shared with you that how to start that question, because few words that will lead to only assignment question and few other words, the interrogative sentences would lead to a discussion. So I would take now an opportunity to invite you first, instead of asking you that who will conduct the class. I would first invite you that any one of you who is ready with a question, he or she can start with. And now you will be the teacher, and I'll be, and rest of us will be the students. And students, you also need to, whatever question is being asked from you, you need to respond if you know the answer. And let's see how it moves on, right? So who is ready for that? Can you raise the hand? Ma'am, organizers, please give the opportunity to the person who has raised the hand. One hand I
There is
could see.
Dr. Jaspreet. Yeah, Dr. Jaspreet is
Dr.
there.
Jasprit. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Jasprit.
Yes, you can unmute.
Yeah. Hello. Am I audible, Linu ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Pankaj sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Sir, I had been reading this case yesterday as well. I had read this case, and again I have read this case. Probably two questions comes to in my mind, sir, after reading this case. Like,
And
why is
is it possible if you can put on your camera also? Because now you are a teacher, so
I request Vijay sir if he could give me this
Some
permission.
rights has been given to you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah. Yeah. So, sir, the first question I would like to ask the class as well, with your kind permission.
Yeah, please.
Uh, why is Assistant Professor Joe Warrington, why is she having problem in managing the class discussion? Or why is she having difficulty in managing this case discussion, LMP company case discussion in the class? why she herself is feeling digressed, right? And second question is,
No. Hold on, please.
yes,
Only
sir.
first question. And
Okay.
now the speakers of all the participants should be open and they could raise the hand and the organizers have to allow them to speak on. Dr. Jasprit, thank you so much. You
Yes.
have given one question and let's see what's the response of the teachers now. Means the other students.
Sir, later on, kindly allow me. I have one more question for which I want an answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You want this question in continuation or
Just
is
have
it a
put
different question?
That's a different
That's a
question.
different question. Okay.
That's a different
So
question.
let's put a rule that for one teacher only one question at this moment
Done.
because we need to give opportunity to many other participants.
Everyone.
So thank you, Dr. Jasprit. Now it is open to the whole class. Yeah.
Yes, those who have an answer, kindly raise their hand. So the chat box is also enabled. Maybe some people may respond on the chat box so we can see what are the responses on chat box. Yeah, Ankita ma'am, if you have an answer, kindly put up your answer after the wishes.
And whosoever speaks, his or her camera should be on.
Is Dr. Robin? She might have an answer. Ma'am, please unmute yourself and speak up. An answer from Meenu Gupta ma'am has come up in the chat box. Maybe she is lacking skills to generate interest of the students. That is the first answer.
Writing in the chat box won't solve the purpose. We would like the respondent to please speak on by putting on the camera, or if they are not putting on the camera, at least they should speak on. Chat box, it won't solve the purpose because this is a workshop and we need more and more participation in this.
So actually, some people might be avoiding because of some background noises or maybe disturbance at the back end. So they are participating. That's why we have enabled the chat box.
I think we need answers, verbal answers more.
Okay.
So give opportunity to someone who is ready to speak on.
Sir, may I?
Yeah, Dr. Geeta. But
Very good afternoon, sir.
please hold on. I think you have already answered 5, 6 questions, and your participation has become now over participation. So I need more people who can speak on.
Madam Ankita, you can unmute and switch on your camera. Rights has been given to you.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say that I have just joined the meeting, and first of all, my mic was not unmuted. And right now, I will listen carefully and respond to all the questions.
No problem, ma'am. No issues.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Robin, ma'am, if you can unmute, you can respond. Or Meenu Gupta, ma'am, you have written in the chat box. If you can verbally respond by switching on your camera, that will be better.
Please speak out. Those who
Madam
are not
Meenu,
speaking,
you
they
can
can put off their
unmute.
cameras. Ankita ma'am, if you are not speaking, please put off your camera.
Good afternoon.
Yes, please. Yes.
I think the fourth reason is that she don't have much interaction with her students, and she need to distribute the case prior. It may be 2 to 3 days before, and the thing is, the class representative, she need to uh, make communication with the class representative so that like he is a license with the faculty, and he must communicate with the class itself regarding the discussion about the class. And I think all the students must listen about the what class representative would like to say. This is all about from my side. Thank you.
Dr. Jasprit, you have to run the class.
All right. Okay, sir. So yeah, yes, sir, I agree with what ma'am said, but proceeding with the case, as everybody has read, I again find that almost all of the students are either they are not interested in the class, they are very much disinterested, or they are digressed. I mean, the student opener, Brad Lanchester, he spoke for 7 to 8 minutes about the case, capital expenses and other things, but that was again irrelevant. So what could be the reason? Why are the students in this class disinterested? So this is my second question, sir. Why, to everyone, that why students are disinterested in this class? What could be the probable reason? Yes, please.
Dr. Manpreet, you can unmute.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh,
Hi,
so,
Manpreet. Hansi.
so what I feel, the reason maybe, as you emphasized a lot on the discussion question. So I feel that the discussion question by Professor Joe, that was not framed appropriately. That's why there was a loss of interest in the class.
Thank you, Manpreet ma'am. And more could be the reasons, if I'm not mistaken.
One reason I want to give that as Pankaj sir have told earlier, that teacher should be 400% prepared and student if student is 200% prepared. So I think maybe some there is limitations on the part of the preparation part of the teacher, maybe.
Even I agree on that. So yeah, even in the case the teacher herself is taking that there could be probable reason, either the case wasn't that good, or the class is slow, and the time is also a limitation. Limited time is also a limitation, and she didn't had contacted the class representative prior the discussion of the case. And okay, another question. So the question which I really want to know the answer is, which I think we also face in the classes, how could Assistant Professor Joe engage the students in case discussion? Like the case speaks that almost entire class is disinterested. Somebody is sitting with a folded hand, somebody is not replying. Even if she puts the case to the voting, she is not sure that even if the half of the class would vote or not. So what could be the strategies that this Madam Joe could use or could employ to make class interested?
Ma'am, may I reply on this?
Certainly, please.
Ma'am, being a teacher, while entering in the class, the first objective is that you should motivate them that they have to speak, they have to make their class too interactive. And being a part, if I'm also a part of student in the class, I expect something from my teacher. That is that for like something reward, some incentive from the part of teacher. Yes, I will make the class representative. I will give you the good marks in the class. Some being a part of a student, I expect something from my teacher. If I in advance, if I had told my student that if you will reply on this particular case, or you will reply on the answer of this question, I will definitely give you some reward or incentive. It may be in the part of marks. It may be I will provide an opportunity to become a part of any coordinator, as a coordinator of a particular event. This is from my side.
All right. Pooja ma'am, along with this, I have one more question. It is written in case itself that the class is little rebellion in nature and last two classes also didn't went well. So what is your say on that?
Itself it means the teacher is expecting answers from student instead of she's making the class as a interactive she was not making interactive session. She was just expecting from her student that they will reply. I think she need to start from herself that the case is this, and according to me the solution would be like this. Now what is your opinion? The student then after getting answers from her teacher, maybe student get interested in that particular case. That's it.
Thank you, Pooja ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's give opportunity of being a teacher now. So well done, Dr. Jaspreet. The only thing is that we had two responses of the your first question, why assistant Professor Joe was facing a problem, and Ankita said that Joe was not prepared, and Dr. Manpreet said that discussion question was not right. So, how many of you goes? How many of you agree with the real reason? Real reason why assistant Professor Joe was she was having a problem. First was that she was not at all prepared, or her opening question was not right. So, how many of you agree with Ankita Walia that Joe was not prepared?
Sir,
Just raise
even
hands. Just raise hands. So we can see how many one. We cannot see so many hands there. Okay. Ashish, you want to say something? You agree with? But do you agree with Dr. Manpreet also that discussion question was not rightly asked, or discussion question? Is the discussion question given? What question did Joe asked in the class, Dr. Manpreet? Is it given in the case? Dr. Manpreet? You said that it was Dr. Manpreet who said that question was discussion question was not rightly asked by Joe. So is the opening question of Dr. Joe given in the case? Dr. Manpreet, can you answer my question?
Dr. Manpreet, please unmute.
Dr. Manpreet, are you there?
She.
Okay. Now, Ashish, you agree with Ankita that Joe was not prepared.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with the Ankita ma'am that Joe was not prepared.
What are the other dimensions which shows that Joe was not prepared?
Okay, actually, sir, according to me, along with the Joe, I think students were also not prepared with this particular case. And the probable reason is also mentioned in the case study that they have their midterm in strategy. The next day, the case discussion was conducted. So this can be the reasons that the students were not much interested in this particular case study. And according to me, the first question that the Joe should ask during the case study discussion was that Joe should ask the students about the brief issues stated in the case study, like what this case study is all about, what are the things, what is the issue that have been discussed in this particular case. After getting the responses from the students, he could get the clear idea that either students are prepared for the case study or not. So this is the first thing I think that Joe should ask in the class, that give me a brief discussion, a brief detail or brief overview what this case study is all about.
So, Ashish, if I say that Joe must have done asked some opening question and she was not even she got the response, but the case drifted in some other way, the class drifted in some other direction, and she was not satisfied. Now, this is a question. This is an open question for all, not to Ashish only. That what should she do now? What is the other options? What are the other options?
So may I answer?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, so like sir, it is already mentioned in the case that there are some students who are from the same background, like they have some training or they have worked in some same area. So Joe can target that students to like discuss whether they have faced the similar issue while they were working in that particular industry or the factory. So from that particular issue, they can ask like what were the issues they have faced, what were the strategies they have opted. So from this particular point, they can raise the interest of the students in the class.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on and let's take Dr. Robin Kaushal is there. Dr. Robin Kaushal, are you there? Or someone who has raised the hand? Because Dr. Robin, are you ready? Dr. Robin Kaushal.
I think Madam Monica has raised.
Madam Monica, and she
I
has
hope so. I'm not sure.
just breathe is already done.
Actually, sir, I want to add something.
Dr. Leenu, yeah, please.
Sir, it's I think somebody else who has spoken just now. Ankita,
Sir,
Ankita
I
Bandya.
am. Yes, sir.
Professor Vijay Chabra. Or
No, Ankita, madam, I think. It's
Ankita.
And Mr. Sunil Kumar Agarwal. Both of them have raised the
Uh,
hands.
Just hold on.
yes, sir. What I personally observe that Joe should
No,
have
no.
initiated the discussion herself.
Sorry.
What I personally observe that Joe should have initiated the discussion. But and another thing is that he may be having some reluctant mindset. That's why discussion was not done in the right direction in this case.
Okay.
She should have initiated the discussion herself
Okay.
and
Dr.
give some
Sunil,
dimension to that.
Dr. Sunil, what can be, according to you, what can be a good criteria for selecting an opening question? What should be the criteria for selecting a good question?
She should have given some background for that. Just like that LMP company, in this case study, the thing was that whether the LMP company should go for physical expansion or not. Will it be uh, physically viable, financially viable to cut the cost or to eliminate certain delay in the flow of material? So I think she should have given some background for that. So and initiate the discussion herself.
Sir, may I add something to this answer, sir?
Yes.
Sir, I just want to repeat your guidance which you have given us earlier. That Joe should you can say prompt students to think purposefully in some direction, and she should give her students a real life situation, so that they just bound to think about the topic and about the case.
Okay. So now my question is, what criteria should we use to select an opening question? What makes a good question? What makes a good question? What is the criteria for selecting a good question?
Sir, may I please?
Yeah, Dr. Jaspreet. Yeah.
Sir, if I'm not mistaken.
I
Yeah.
think we will come back to you. Let's
Okay.
have some more hands.
Jeez,
We
okay.
have Dr. Ankita. Ankita, you want to say something?
Sir, actually, I have said, and I forgot to lower my hand, sir. I have just said ki Professor Joe should give their students a real life situation so that students become bound to think about the case.
Okay. We have with us Miss Kanika Dhingra. So, Miss Kanika, what makes a good question? Opening question. Dr. Jaspreet will give you a chance again, but I want more participation.
No, no
Dr.
worries, sir.
Kanika, Komal, please put off your mics and speak on. Ma'am Kanika, are you there? Miss Komal, we have Mr. Jinesh Jain. Gagandeep. Jinesh, you want to speak? Yeah, please speak on. Mr. Jinesh, ma'am Gagandeep is there. Isha, ma'am Isha Jain. My question is, what makes a good question? What is the criteria of a good question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah,
Isha this
good
side.
afternoon. Yeah.
So what I feel is that while framing the discussion question, we should keep a few things in mind. The choice of word should be appropriate, and we should have identified the key issue, like the direction to which we want students to brainstorm. So we should be particular in framing that question so that we can give a right direction to the students where we want they should, initiate their thought process and find a solution. So it should be like a guide and as well as intriguing at the same time, so that the students should be in focus of taking up the exact problem what we actually want to discuss.
Okay, but if you, Isha, if you find that the opening question was good and the discussion is happening, but the discussion is going in a right in some other direction, means
Then we
like
have
how assistant professor Joe, she initiated, she asked a question, but the respondent they drifted the whole class into another direction. And let me share with you that time management is very very important in this case discussion, because if you want to make some topic clear, or you want make class to understand about layout of a plant layout, but they are talking about finance, they are talking about HR, they are talking about strategy, but they are not talking about the plant layout. So in such case, how would you, what is your suggestion? And this is open to all, means I'll come to Dr. Jaspreet also on this one. But what how either you need to edit your or come out with the second part of that question, Dr. Jaspreet, or what should we do? Let's start with
Sir,
you.
I guess we should moderate as a teacher while we are conducting the case study. We always have a role of moderator to play. We cannot leave it only on the student's part to discuss it. So always as directing the path, the moderation should be there by the one who by the teacher, or in this case by the assistant professor Joe. It should not left open ended. When at the very first instance he saw that Brad has taken it to some other direction, the intervention should have been at that particular point of time, so as to bring back the discussion on track, and at the same time to bring the students who were not very well into the process of that discussion back into it.
Isha, can you put on your camera so that we can have a discussion? And Dr. Jaspreet, do you agree with Prisha, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with Isha, madam. And somewhere I would like to add that yes, Isha is right. जब digression हो रही थी तो teacher should interfere or intervene in between and bring the students back online. Moreover, sir, it's also written that Madam Jo has 2 exhibits as well. Maybe 2 files which talk about the volume of material, maybe some numbers which talk about the volume of materials flowing between the departments, and calculations could be made beforehand. So, sir, I think the first question which you asked, like what should be the criteria for an opening question? Opening question, I think, should be such which gives a little spark. Although the case talks, like, the case is not at all dramatic. It's a simple case like an LMP should expand or not. Many of the students won't find it that interesting, right? So the opening question should have something which sparks, or something which stimulates the student for discussion, for thinking, for brainstorming. And then I agree with Isha as well. And then there are exhibits. Those exhibits could be analyzed beforehand. These are the numerics, and in accordance with this, let's move in this direction. Rather than going to HR, or rather than going to corporate competition or capital expenses, those are not required to be discussed in this case. This is from my side, sir.
Okay, what we have with us, Madam Meenu Gupta. Ma'am Meenu, are you there? Meenu Gupta. Kanika Dhingra. We have Dr. Sangeeta Sood. Ma'am, are you there?
Dr. Sangeeta, unmute right has been given to you. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I think the criteria for a good question or the opening question must be according to the level of the child, should be focused, not vague. And whenever some problem is there in the opening question, the teacher should stimulate the students back to the work. So discussion can be resumed only after interfering by the teacher. Then only it is possible that they can reach the good results. So
Okay, Dr.
vagueness should be
Sangeeta,
avoided.
if you are now at place of Dr. Jaspreet, Dr. Jaspreet, now you can relax. You did a very good job. I should clap for you. Thank you for that. So I would request now, which ma'am I have asked?
Dr. Sangeeta.
Dr. Sangeeta. Dr. Sangeeta, now you are the instructor at my place, means instead of me, you are the resource person now. And you have to conduct a discussion with a voting question, voting, in which you can do a voting among the participants. Can this, first of all, you should come up with that kind of question, and then you can also come up with your expert comments that how voting can help us for a discussion. So if you have to go for a voting, now you are at my place and I have to go for a voting. Please. Yeah. Now you are the instructor, you can put on your camera. I'll put off my camera. You can put on your camera, Dr. Sangeeta.
It is not allowing me to put on the camera.
Organizer, please allow her to
go to
put
the
on her camera.
settings or somewhere.
Vijay ji, can
Dr.
she?
Dr. Sangeeta, I have given the rights to you.
You can put on your camera.
Already given rights.
I understand, but it is allowing me, not allowed to use your camera. Teams is
Okay,
not allowed
okay,
to
no,
use your
no
camera.
issue.
Maybe some issue at your end.
Yeah, maybe, sir. But
No,
I'm
no
not
problem,
able
ma'am.
to open it, that's why.
No problem. You can go ahead without opening your camera. My question is that now you are the instructor, you are the resource person, and you have to do a voting kind of thing in a class so that a discussion may go ahead.
Fine, sir. Like in this case, LMP case, company case, we can ask the students how many of them they want to go, that the company should go for expansion after discussing the case. Then finally, the things can be, by counting the number of votes, the things can be decided whether they have understood, and then only they can, if they are raising the hand or voting, then only it can be that we can give these much votes and they can be contributing towards the positive side of the LMP company. So this is what I feel from my
No,
end.
ma'am, you have to be at my place and you have to invite the discussion now. At least 4, 5 hands should be raised. Your question should be in such a way. You have to, you are now the instructor, teacher in this group. You have to ask a question, not the opening question, maybe the second or third or fourth question, which should be in a form of a voting. And you invite for a voting for this group. And what will be your question? How do you invite that? That's the thing. You have to demonstrate that.
So I will try. So
Yeah,
I
please.
feel like, why was Alice sitting disengaged while continuing with the case study? I found that Alice was a student who was totally sitting disengaged. My question to the audience here is that, why do you think she was totally disengaged? Although Professor Joe was conducting the case studies, but why was Alice sitting disengaged? Please, can you enlighten about this view from the audience? Anybody?
Excuse me, ma'am. Uh, Ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, I personally think that like you have asked us the question that why Alice was sitting disengaged. So this becomes some sort of discussion question, and sir has asked that voting question you should ask. So kindly ask us a voting question so we can just raise our hands in favor of you or your question or not.
Very nice observation.
Fine, sir. Then I have to think, sir, relocate the question. So you can
Okay.
ask somebody else then. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else who can design a voting question and put the voting question here and come as an instructor, as a source person?
So
And
can
one
I
thing more,
intervene?
one thing more, ma'am Sue, that you asked a question that why the student were disengaged. Is the answer given in the case about that? No, the answer is not given there. But and we need to justify our question in a manner that at least the student may be able to find out something that is given in the case. Right, ma'am? So let's
Okay,
move
sir.
ahead and
Fine, sir.
listen to someone who can do a voting question, and we can go ahead on the discussion on that voting question.
Sir, the voting question may be that how many you have understood the case?
Dr. Sunil, I would rather suggest never ask this question. Never. Why?
Okay.
Because two questions you have never to ask in the cast. One, are you prepared with the case? If you ask this question as an opening question, it's a blunder in
Yes.
case teaching. Even if the students are prepared all over the world, it's the same. They will say no, and you are finished.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
you are asking a direct question, you see, discussion questions, I have already pointed out, should not be the questions which should be what we call a dichotomy questions. It should not have answers of yes or no. Only in a special case, when when a lot of discussion has already happened, and now you want to Like this can be the voting question. Okay, tell me guys that how many of you agree with Isha Jain, or how many of you agree with Professor Vinay? Suppose they are the two arguments which are coming in the class, and then you can go for a voting saying that okay, how many of you go with Professor Vinay, or how many of you can go with Professor Isha Jain. They, and if they have a different mindsets or different arguments for the same situation, then you should invite a voting asking that. We have a hand raised by someone. I think organizer can allow.
So it's Monica ma'am. Monica ma'am, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have found out one question which we can ask for as a voting question. That would
Please,
be
please, please.
like it was seen in the case that many of them they were not even aware of the background of operations and productions. So one question to start in an appropriate way, the case discussion can be, how many of you are aware of the process of the operation process, working of the operation process, so that in case they are aware that what is the production process actually about, then only they can understand the the related problems, issues faced in expansion and all the other issues mentioned here. That could be one voting question.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, the voting question which can be asked can be how many of you are aware about the working of the operation process? What all is involved in the operation process? So that
So,
from there they can steer the next discussion.
okay, so maybe suppose five or six hands have been raised. Suppose, then is the voting closed now?
No, after that, then voting is closed. Then after that, the teacher will come to know that a few of them only are aware of the background of this issue, of the production issue. Then she need to then first of all clarify to them then what is actually the problem of the production operation process, so that they can better engage in the discussion. Because right now they may be disengaged because they are not aware at all about the issue involved, because they
Okay,
don't.
so as far as engagement is concerned, I think to wake them up or to make them to or to get them involved into the process, I think this question is good. But I don't take it this as a voting question as 100%. Anybody else also?
So I think Pranal ma'am also raised a hand.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sir, I agree with what Isha has said and what Monica ma'am has said. In my opinion, first we need to identify whether the issue that we are going to address with the help of case study, whether students are familiar with the background of that, like Monica ma'am has already mentioned about it. If they are not at all aware, so then we have to in some way give them a capsule, something in capsule form, so that way they'll be able to understand the case study and the assignment and discussion questions. So this is what I intend to say.
Okay. My question was about a voting question. What can be a good voting question?
Sir, voting question.
Okay, let me give you a hint. Let me give you a hint. I will act as
Sir, may I try
Professor
once?
Joe. Sorry,
Sorry to interrupt you. May I try once?
who is that?
Sir, Jasprit here.
Just
Jasprit here.
Okay, Dr. Jasprit, I'll come to that part.
Okay, okay.
Suppose there are different type of layouts: product layout, process layout. Suppose, how many of you say that LMP is having a process kind of layout? How many of you say it is having a product kind of layout? Or a company like LMP should have product kind of layout or a process kind of layout? So those who say that they agree that LMP should have a product kind of layout, they should raise the hands. And then I'll give the opportunity to those who go with the process kind of layout. So this is how you can initiate, or Joe must have initiated with, but since the details are not given in the case, so we'll not take it as an idle question. But now, who has initiated? Dr. We can. Who was saying that she will answer?
So Dr. Jaspreet, I think she wished to answer.
Okay, Dr. Jaspreet, it's your chance now.
Yes, sir. I was not to answer. I had an answer for Monica ma'am and Mrinal ma'am. I think the case study itself says that the students are from MBA in operations management. So I think they already have the background of what they are studying. And yes, the my voting question was regarding layout only. How many of you have an, we can put this as a voting question, like how many of you have an idea of what kind of layouts are there in the factories or manufacturing centers? This was my voting question, which I was proposing. That is it.
Thank you, Jaspreet ma'am.
Yeah.
Pankaj sir, are you there?
Yeah.
So may
Okay.
I ask may I
Yeah,
just share
please.
something?
Yes, yes.
So actually, just considering this to be a classroom and the case study that you have put up here, it is related to a problem statement that how to carry out the discussion in the class about the case study. So the case study itself, it has by the end of the case study, we have different options with us. Maybe she could walk them through the analysis herself. This is one option. The second is, shall she direct the attention to the relevant exhibits? That is the other option. Third is, she should cold call a student. That is the third option. So
Very good.
can we just put up a voting question with regard to these different options in front of the participants of the class, that whether carry out the analysis herself? That is one option. Second is exhibits. Third is cold calling the student or involving Tom. So these can be different options for voting. Can it be the true one?
That's the right answer. I should clap for you.
Thank you, sir.
That's the right answer. आज का जो डिस्कशन अगर एज ए रिसोर्स पर्सन आपको इनवाइट किया जाता है, आई थिंक दैट इज द राइट आंसर, दैट यू हैव either you can be student directed or you can be instructor directed, and you know what the situation is. Then how many of you say that that the class should be instructor oriented, she should take the command, or it should be left to the students? And that's a wonderful voting question. I appreciate. लेकिन ये नहीं पता लगा पाया कौन बोल रहा था मैम.
So your moderator itself, Dr. Lino.
Okay, okay. So I should clap for Dr. Linu. Wonderful answer. That's the 100% correct answer. अब इसको थोड़ा extend कर देते हैं. इसको थोड़ा extend कर देते हैं इस question को. And let's extend this question by saying that suppose there are two options. One is instructor directed, another is student directed. So how would you maintain a balance between an instructor oriented class and a student oriented class? How would you maintain a balance between the two? And this one, I think from the discussion till this time, all of you agree that you need some time when the instructor is leading and there is a time when student is leading. और मैंने आपको बताया correctly कि best case वो होता है जिसमें instructor he or she is silent, we are not doing anything, and there is a peer-to-peer discussion in the class. That is considered to be the best case discussion. But many time it doesn't happen, and as happened with Professor Joe, it never happened. So there should be, do you agree that there should be a balance between the instructor oriented and a student oriented class?
Yes, sir, there should be a balance.
There should be a balance. Now my question here is, how would you maintain that balance? And this time I would need answers from someone who have not already spoken. My question is, how would you maintain during your case class, how will you maintain a balance between a instructor oriented class and a student oriented class? Jinesh Jain, Kanika, Komal, Maninder Kaur. Yeah. Please speak on. Ma'am Monica wants to speak.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
I think to balance the case discussion, the teacher should ask one question, take answers from the students, all the students, possible students, and then she should try to, reach to a conclusion based on multiple answers that she might have got. Then she should again start with another question. And then that way she can involve herself in between and also engage all the students. That can be one way of balancing.
Okay, good. Who else?
Sir, I think while describing the case, the class
Can
will
you
be
put on your
instructor.
camera? Jain Saab, can you
Yes, sir.
put on your camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I think while describing the case, the class will be instructor oriented. When the teacher is describing the case, it will be instructor oriented. And later on, when the questions will be asked to the students, so the mode of the class will change.
Okay, Jinesh, I would ask you to just hold on. You should keep your camera also on.
Sure, sir.
We have with us Miss Harpreet Kaur. Is she here? Harpreet ma'am, are you there? Harpreet Kaur. Gagandeep Kaur.
Yes, sir.
Harpreet, yeah, ma'am, wonderful. Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
Jinesh
Yes.
Jain ji has said that that instructor he should lead when he is describing the case. So my question to you is that is it necessary for a teacher to describe a case in the class, or what is the situation in which
I think
he has to describe a case? There is no other option, or should he describe, or should he not describe? Do that thing in the class.
the instructor should just initiate the discussion just by simply saying one thing about the case and just see what are the reactions of the students there. Just initiate the discussion only, or just give an hints about the case.
Means he should not discuss.
नो सर जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उन्हें डिस्कशन का प्लेटफॉर्म देना चाहिए.
जिनेश जी आप क्या कहेंगे? मैडम थोड़ा ओपिनियन डिफरेंट है आपका.
Sir, a teacher can well read by the students. Then the teacher should not discuss the case. If it is not read by the student, then the teacher must do it.
बट हम तो कह रहे हैं कि आइडियली सिचुएशन अच्छी वो है जिसमें टीचर पार्टिसिपेट ना करे, टीचर सिर्फ डिस्कशन को कोरियोग्राफ करे, उसको डिजाइन करे, उसको रन करे, उसको ज्यादा नहीं बोलना, उसको कम बोलना है.
Yes, sir. Obviously, teacher should be moderator only.
या मैडम ये कह रही हैं, लेकिन कुछ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से कुछ लोग जो जिनेश जी को सपोर्ट करेंगे. कोई और बोलेगा जिनेश के सपोर्ट में? ये बैलेंस की बात चल रही है, बैलेंस बिटवीन ए टीचर ओरिएंटेड. जो जिनेश कह रहे हैं वो गलत बिल्कुल नहीं है, क्योंकि जब आप बैलेंस की बात कर रहे हैं, आप कह रहे हैं कि एक टीचर कभी कभी क्लास में लीड करता है केस को और कभी स्टूडेंट्स लीड करते हैं केस को. तो जिनेश जी कह रहे हैं अगर स्टूडेंट्स नहीं लीड कर रहे हैं तो आपको तो लीड करना ही पड़ेगा. जबकि हरप्रीत मैम का
अगर रेलेवेंस नहीं होगा, जब वो प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर क्वेश्चन नहीं रहेगा तो मॉडरेटर का काम है कि उसे प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर लेके आना, रेलेवेंस उसकी जो है वो खत्म ना हो जाए क्वेश्चन की, उसे कंसाइज करना, उसे टाइमिंग देना, वो इंस्ट्रक्टर का काम है. अदरवाइज जो डिस्कशन है वो स्टूडेंट्स के ऊपर होनी चाहिए.
जिनेश को कोई और सपोर्ट करेगा और किस आर्गुमेंट से करेगा थोड़ा बताएंगे? ये डिस्क्रिप्शन, ये लीड की बात कर रहे हैं टीचर की, लेकिन हरप्रीत और मैं भी उससे कहता हूं कि आपको डिस्क्राइब नहीं करना है, आपको मॉडरेट करना है, आपको क्वेश्चंस पूछने हैं, आपको डिस्कशन को ऐसे ओपन नहीं छोड़ देना, गलत डायरेक्शन में नहीं जाने देना, आपने लीड तो करना है. इतनी बात हम जिनेश से एग्री कर रहे हैं, लेकिन ये कह रहे हैं डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए, उससे हम एग्री नहीं कर रहे. ये मैडम हरप्रीत आप भी यही कह रही? हाँ, तो और कोई सपोर्ट करेगा?
आई एम सेइंग द सेम थिंग.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I just want to add few words. You have said us,
Camera
you
on
have
कर लीजिए,
guided us that.
camera on कर लीजिए.
Oh, actually, sir, I have also not. Yes, sir, I have the permission.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I want to say that instructor should redesign the question just to limit the direction of the topic of the class. And redesigning should be by just reframing the hows and whys the question, so that it doesn't uh, go in the direction of uh, 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 matlab outside the topic, but remain in the limits of the topic.
Okay, Ankita, if I say that let me ask you to put your feet in the shoes of the Joe.
Yes.
Now you are the Joe now, suppose.
Okay.
I am saying that you are the Joe now.
Yes. Okay, sir. Kindly
So
repeat your question, sir.
I am saying you are Joe now, Joe, Assistant Professor
Yes, sir.
Joe.
Yes, that I have got it. Yes, sir.
And
That I have got it.
what Jignesh has said, what Harpreet madam has said about the balance of
Okay.
student oriented, and we know that Joe's balance was actually disbalanced. Do you agree
Yes,
with
sir.
this or
Yes.
not? Right?
Yes,
And
sir. Yes.
now you are
Yes, sir.
Professor Joe. You are Assistant Professor Joe. Only 5
Okay,
10
sir.
minutes are left, and you know that
Okay, sir.
class is going to end, but things are not
Okay,
happening in the way how you have planned actually. So,
sir.
what will you do?
Okay, sir. Sir, let me try. Hmm. Sir, there can be some quizzes. We can construct some quiz questions, multiple choice questions, so that a student gets prompt to answer.
Okay, how do you give multiple choice question in a case? I can't understand that.
Sir, like जैसे by knowing the background of the students, we can design some questions based on the
नहीं,
background knowledge of students.
क्लास में तो मैंने क्या सिचुएशन दिया आपको कि क्लास में तो
हाँ जी,
डिस्कशन
हाँ जी,
चल रहा है और सपोज 2 आवर्स
हाँ
की
जी,
क्लास थी और आपका 1.5 आवर निकल चुका है, यू हैव ओनली हाफ एन आवर लेफ्ट और आपको पता लग रहा है कि जो
yes,
आप पढ़ाना चाह रहे थे प्लांट लेआउट वो तो काम नहीं कर रहा है और स्टूडेंट्स में डिस्कशन चल रहा है लेकिन प्लांट लेआउट कोई समझ नहीं पाया कि प्लांट लेआउट होता क्या है, तो अब आप क्या
okay,
करेंगे?
sir. Okay, sir.
ये क्वेश्चन है। तो
Sir,
मल्टीपल चॉइस देने का तो अब
okay, sir.
टाइम ही नहीं ना आपके पास, वो तो
Okay,
असाइनमेंट
okay,
क्वेश्चन
sir.
हो गया। मल्टीपल चॉइस तो असाइनमेंट
Yes,
क्वेश्चन हो
yes,
गया, अब तो डिस्कशन
yes,
क्वेश्चन
sir,
की।
yes.
हाँ,
Yes, sir, yes. Sir, if there are some uncovered points of LMP companies posed in this case, so we can also put some light on that if Professor Joe has not given some idea about that to her students in the class. Some uncovered points, sir. I want to say.
नहीं वो कैसे करेंगे अनकवर्ड पॉइंट्स में, वो अनकवर्ड पॉइंट्स को आप एक्सप्रेस कैसे करेंगे वहां पर?
Okay, okay, sir.
चलिए,
Uh,
जब तक अंकिता
हाँ
सोचती
जी,
है,
that is not
आई थिंक
clicking right
एनीबडी
now.
एल्स
हाँ जी,
हु वांट टू रेस्क्यू अंकिता? अंकिता फंस गई है शी इज इनटू
हाँ
ट्रैप
जी,
ऑफ
हाँ
बीइंग असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर जो।
Yes,
या
May I
तो अब
try,
अंकिता
sir?
को
yes.
हमने वो करना है, रेस्क्यू करना है। तो अब जो के पैर में जो का जूता कौन पहनेगा, और जो को रेस्क्यू करना है, अंकिता को रेस्क्यू करना है, तो क्या सजेशन है आपका?
May
सर
I
मैडम
try, sir?
अमरजीत और मोनिका मैम रेडी हैं रेस्क्यू करने के
अच्छा,
लिए।
मोनिका मैडम से सुन लेंगे क्योंकि मोनिका मैडम का
Amajit
अच्छा
sir.
पार्टिसिपेशन जा रहा है। अभी और किसी को लेते हैं जिन्होंने पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया, और किसी का
अमरजीत
हाथ
मैम।
भी रेज हुआ है?
जी सर,
अमृत
अमरजीत मैम।
अमरजीत कौर, अमरजीत कौर, यस मैम। अपना कैमरा ऑन कर लीजिए मैम। अंकिता आप अपना कैमरा ऑफ कर दीजिए।
ओके सर, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जब मैं केस स्टार्ट करूंगी, केस स्टार्ट करने से पहले ही मैं अपने सारे टॉपिक्स को और जो मेरे केस के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं वो सारे क्लास में वेल डिफाइन करूंगी, एंड देन सिर्फ टॉपिक्स और ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ये चीज़ डिफाइन करने के बाद मैं क्लास को बोलूँगी कि वो डिटेल में थॉरोली केस को स्टडी करके क्लास में आए। तो जब स्टूडेंट्स थॉरली केस को स्टडी करके आएंगे, फिर उसके बाद मैं अपनी क्लास में डिस्कशन स्टार्ट कराऊंगी।
मैम 1 मिनट होल्ड करिए, 1 मिनट होल्ड करिए। आप क्या करेंगी वो अभी नहीं है। मैंने एक सिचुएशन दिया आपको जो अंकिता मैडम को भी दी थी कि आपकी 2 घंटे की क्लास थी, ओनली हाफ एन आवर इज लेफ्ट।
अगर सिर्फ मेरे पास
अब आपको एज जो क्या करना है वो बताना है।
ओके, सो इन एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम
मैं दूसरी तरीके से पूछता हूँ, मैं दूसरी तरीके से पूछता हूँ, क्लोजिंग क्वेश्चन क्या हो सकता है आपका जो कि थोड़ा बहुत आप समझते हैं कि सब कुछ अब चला गया है, फिर भी टाइम निकल गया, तो या तो अगली क्लास में कुछ होगा या नहीं हो पाया। अब समझ लीजिए कि क्लोजिंग क्वेश्चन क्या हो सकता है कि जिससे फिर भी आपको कुछ होप रहे कि ठीक है अभी भी कुछ डिस्कशन हो सकता है। या योर चांस नाउ।
ओके, एट लास्ट सबसे पहले तो मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स को एक रीकैप दूंगी जो भी टॉपिक्स एक बेस थे मेरी इस केस स्टडी का। सो सबसे पहले एक रीकैप देने के बाद मैं स्टूडेंट्स को अगेन जो हमारे केस स्टडी के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स थे उनके साथ उनके बारे में एक रीकैप दूंगी एंड उनको बोलूंगी कि इसके साथ अब केस को रिलेट करके सोचिए। सो बिकॉज आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं स्टूडेंट्स मेन टॉपिक से ही डाइवर्ट हो रहे होंगे जिस वजह से वो अभी तक किसी भी कंक्लूजन पे नहीं पहुंच पाए। सो आई थिंक एक रिकैप देने के बाद अगर कोई स्टूडेंट उसके आसपास भी पहले उसके व्यू पॉइंट्स थे तो मैं स्टूडेंट्स को बोलूंगी कि आप अपने व्यू पॉइंट्स को अब इस चीज के साथ, इन टॉपिक्स के साथ, कंटेंट्स के साथ और ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के साथ लिंक करिए ताकि आप एक कंक्रीट कंक्लूजन के ऊपर पहुंच सकें। सो ऑब्वियसली द स्टूडेंट्स विल ट्राई देयर बेस्ट एंड आई विल आल्सो ट्राई टू मॉडरेट अमंग देम ताकि जिन भी स्टूडेंट्स के डाइवर्जेंट व्यू पॉइंट्स हैं उनको इकट्ठा करके एक कंक्रीट सोल्यूशन के ऊपर पहुंचा जा सके।
ओके, तो आई थिंक इट्स अ नाइस अटेम्प्ट, बट मैं इसमें ये कहूँगा कि जब आपके पास टाइम नहीं बचा है तो पहले तो ये बताइए कि आप स्टूडेंट ओरिएंटेड रहेंगी उसमें कि आप खुद लीड ले लेंगी?
Sir, I think that there has to be a mixture and a combination of both. Although at this point of time, my role will be greater than the role of the students because I'll have to take the lead and I'll have to make my efforts so as to combine the points of the students and to also link where and also to reach the conclusion.
ओके, अमरजीत, आई थिंक शी ट्राइड हर बेस्ट। इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा जवाब देने की कोशिश करी। कोई और ऑल्टरनेटिव सॉल्यूशन इसका? अभी मैं उतना सेटिस्फाइड नहीं हो पाया इनके आंसर से। इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा ट्राई किया है, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट आंसर इनका ठीक है बट बड़ा एग्जैक्ट आंसर नहीं आ पाया अभी इनका। एनीबडी एल्स हु वांट टू स्पीक आउट?
पूजा मेहता मैम रेज्ड हर हैंड। पूजा मेहता मैम,
या प्लीज मैम कैमरा ऑन कर लीजिए। बोलिए मैम, पूजा मैम बोलिए।
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. Pooja from Aurobindo College only. Yes, sir. So, like you have already mentioned that it's already been a mess has been created by me as Joe, and it's been 1.5 hours. Still, some discussion could have done. This is my take on that. But going for the concluding thing, I would first of all stick to the try to stick to the main question of the case. That is whether we should expand, the LMP company should expand or not. So I think first of all, when I know that I have half an hour with me, so I think first of all I'll quickly give a voting question that since past 1.5 hours we have been discussing. So you tell me now how many of you think that it should expand and how many of you think that it should not expand. So based on the answers of that vote, which will take just 5 minutes, I will divide the class into 2 groups then. I'll change quickly their sitting arrangements and I'll make one group leader out of both the groups. And then I'll ask those group leaders to initiate the discussion. Obviously, I'll be moderating the session as well. But after giving them 20 minutes, I'm still left with 5-10 minutes. So after listening to both of them, then I myself will give the final conclusion. So
okay, that's what my question is. That's what my question is. What will be your closing question? What will be your closing question?
Yeah, so closing question will be whether the LMP company should
go for expanding or not?
Yeah, anyone else who wants to say, is this the right closing question? LMP company wants to should expand or not? Will it solve the purpose? Any alternative closing question? Alternative closing question. Nice attempt, ma'am. Pooja ma'am, we'll come back to you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Closing question.
So this is Monica again. Can I try?
Yeah.
So I think the closing question in this scenario could be that the teacher can tell that I have given you a bird's eye view of the case since you have not gone through the case yourself. This is a brief idea which I have shared with you. Now you better read again, analyze and come prepared in the next session for a thorough discussion on the same. I think that is the practically possible closing question in this situation.
Is it possible that if some closing question is related to exhibits?
Yeah, those exhibits can be explained by the teacher.
How?
So that they can relate to the problem.
I think I'll agree with Dr. Pooja and the previous speakers when they said that they have divided into two groups. Now there were actually two
So we are losing your voice.
Ma'am, I think somewhere there is a network problem.
Yeah, he's lost the connection, I think.
Yeah.
in
He's back.
bringing exhibits in the closing question.
So could you please repeat for last half a minute? You were mute, like internet problem was there.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, very much audible.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm saying that what's the harm in using or bringing students to the exhibits in your closing question? If we are talking about Assistant Professor Joe, then what's the harm in bringing the class to the exhibits in in the last 30 minutes? If we ask students to see to the exhibits, do some do some calculations on the board, and then asking the students that what they are getting from this kind of multiplication or division or something. Is there any harm in that concluding question? How do you see that as a concluding question?
Sir, I find it just Prithya, sir, I find it very much fine. I mean, that can give a specific answer that after analyzing the figures, that the company should expand or not, because the figures speak then. The numbers will speak in itself.
And means are there any chances of drifting out? Because since it's very calculative, it is mathematical. Are there chances to just given to the students in the last 30 minutes that it's not an open discussion now. Now you are moving towards a conclusion in which you are saying that okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, and if you multiply A by B, and then plus C, then you will get the exact figures that are to be put as a layout or a calculation of the layout.
So here, Madam Jo has to be very, very, what do we say, very typical about it, like what she does and how she takes a
She should be very deterministic.
very determined.
She should
Yes.
be calculative, and she should be, although Dr. Meenal and Dr. Robin, do you think that she was not having a technical knowledge about that? Although the students were having that perception that she was from the marketing background, but and she doesn't have a knowledge about the layouts because of her marketing background. But was really that was the story there? Is there any fact given related to that? Or do you think that she was capable enough to draw the conclusion and come up with a closing question and asking the students to come see to the exhibits and draw the conclusion based on the some of the calculation what she could do on the blackboard? Yeah, your opinion, your point of view on this. Paki, we have someone participant as a Paki. Ma'am, are you there? Paki ma'am. Then we have Palak Diwan, Pooja Mehta.
Madam Pakhi, rights already has been given to you. You can unmute yourself. There is no restriction from my side.
Ma'am Palak Diwan.
Madam Palak, you can unmute. Madam Pakhi, you already unmuted, but your voice is not audible to us.
Ma'am Paki, are you saying something? Okay, I think she is trying to speak, but she is not audible here. Okay, now let's close this session with you have unmuted Paki, but we are not able to hear you what you are saying. I could see your message here, but we are not able to hear you. But that is the limitation of some of the technical limitations here. Maybe I don't know what is the issue, but okay, let's move on and say that yes, now you must have got by this time what should be done in the class and what is in which situation you should be leading, in which situation you should be asking the students to come out, and what should be your closing question and how you can conclude and without wasting any time. So much have been discussed about a case discussion and how to conduct a class discussion, how to invite a class discussion, what is opening question, what is following question, what is closing question. All this has been discussed. Now I am open to you for some of your general questions which are related to case study. So it may be related to case discussion, or it may be related to case publishing or case writing, or anything which you would like to ask me about the case studies.
Yes, participants, if you have some questions, you can come up with your questions during this time period.
Excuse me, sir. I want to ask one question. Sir, kindly describe again the meaning of teaching notes. I just want to kindly elaborate more. Teaching notes.
Okay, I'll share and then also speak also. Teaching notes are you can say there are two parts of a case study. One is mainly the case, and teaching notes, the author is making teaching notes to help the teachers who are using that cases in their classes. So I have shown you, let me again share teaching notes of mine screen. And in that screen, let me share with you. Are you able to see my teaching notes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in teaching notes, you are actually, this is now, if you see this with, compare this with uh, this one, this is a case, and if you see its structure, both the structures are totally different. In this, you are actually giving a background of what is happening, what the situation was. You are actually talking about the whole situation, Patanjali, or how he, what association of Balkrishna and the management of trust, or what marketing or challenges for sustainability they did, and it's the whole situation. But in teaching notes, you are actually describing the whole situation into an abstract, and then, because you, the teacher, need to tell the class about the learning objectives. So you design the learning objectives of the case. First, you have to introduce teacher to the learning objectives, and then only the teacher will be able to share learning objectives in the class. Then how to use that case, and sometimes you are actually providing all that material which a teacher needs to deal with that class while teaching a case. Suppose someone wants to know more about background about social entrepreneurship, or brand management, or because it has many dimensions. So you give links to, or you get references of some of references for background reading, and then you also talk about the conceptual background of a case, which may not be given in the case, because in the case it is only the situation, and in notes you are talking about concepts also, that you are talking about a non-profit organization or non-government organization or an NGO, and then you have already designed the discussion questions. Now, if you see the discussion questions here, you will realize that it will initiate like what qualities of Swami Ramdev made him a social entrepreneur. Which different types of opportunities did Swami Ramdev recognize? So now all these questions will means they will influence the students, or they will initiate discussion. And if you see the fourth question, what were the reasons for controversy surrounding Ramdev? Right. And although what will happen now, in case you must have given the controversies, but you have not given the reasons for controversies. Are you getting my point, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
In the
Yes, sir.
case
Yes, sir.
we have
Fully, sir.
given, we have described controversies, but not the reasons for controversies. Now, while you have designed a question in such a way that when a teacher asks for a reason for controversies, it will definitely initiate the discussion.
Okay.
Now, in
Thank you,
the case
sir.
you
Thank
have,
you so much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Another question, please.
Pankaj sir, Isha ma'am has asked the question. I think you said that exhibits shall be used by the end. Is it so?
Which one?
Because her question is related to, she is confused that maybe she has got the message that in the last segment, it's not, you discussed that it's not wise to bring exhibits into the discussion. So she's asking for the right time to discuss exhibits.
Is it in the, is the question in the chat box?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see that. No, I suggest that exhibits should have been used.
Yeah, by the
As
end,
a,
exhibits should be used. Yeah, you said
yes.
so.
Yeah.
So she might not get that message. And Dr. Suman is asking for a PDF of the teaching notes. Sir.
My teaching notes?
Yes, sir. She might be asking for the same.
I'll share both.
Yeah.
I'll share with, I have a number of Dr. Pooja Jain and Dr. Vishal. So I'll share this case as well as case I have already shared. I'll share the teaching notes also.
Right, sir. Any other questions? So I think your screen is shared. Your Microsoft Teams screen is visible to us.
Okay, I'll just stop sharing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question from Dr. Suman Tandon. It is how to get cases in the field of finance.
Okay, and that's a very nice question because when very obvious question also. You see, you have different repositories, and I have already shared with you, and I have also shared with you that their offices are in Mumbai now. So if you see Harvard Business School office in Harvard Business School publishing office in Mumbai, you will get his address, and then you can email to them, and they have a package means, uh, and same is with Emerald, and same is with Ivy. So you have to buy those cases. There is no way out for that. If you want to use your cases for your students, you have to buy those cases.
Right, sir. Any other question? So the case that you've put up for our study, it was related to how to make the case studies interesting and enriching. And I think you have already showcased two techniques that I could recognize in your interaction. One was cold calling and the other one was six thinking hats. Because a long time back, I went through one of the resource person's lecture and she shared with us six thinking hats. And you just exchanged those hats. You put up your student's hat and you just gave us the teacher's hat. So these were the two techniques that I could observe that you've been using, and you've demonstrated so well these techniques to all of us. I hope we will be using these techniques in the times to come in order to enrich our case study discussions in the classrooms. I hope there are no more questions are there.
One question has come up.
Yeah,
Please tell
please
about case published.
yeah.
Paki, what do you means how to publish a case? Okay, if this is the question that how to publish a case, then first of all, that once you have written both the parts, case, yeah. So if it is a case and the teaching notes both are ready with you, then you have to approach to the publisher saying that, and they have a proper, and this is what I have shown you is a standard format that it should have a conceptual background. It should have discussion question. It should have that kind of reference reading type of things. So if both the things are there, then you can approach to these two, three publishers. And now I think various other sources are also available for publishing. We have Asian Case Association also, and also some Indian Case Association also is there. So you can send your case to them, and first you can send your case summary, and they may ask you few more things about that, and then if they feel that your case is useful for the present times and it can be published, then definitely they will ask you to send your case and the teaching notes, and then they go to the reviewers, and then reviewers come up with their comment to with lot of changes if there are changes suggested, and then you can edit your case. So as per my experience, I did 18 revisions for my case, and the I had a typical problem was that it was a typical Indian entrepreneurship case, Indian entrepreneurship, and that's in which a saint is doing a business. So its acceptability was not in the West, and they only know Mother Teresa or a social work kind of thing, not a social enterprise kind of thing. So uh, I had to convince them, and they asked so many questions. And after that, once they are satisfied, then they go for case publishing.
So Dr. Suman is asking about if you have some case study in the field of PFP.
What is PFP? I don't know. What is, ma'am, PFP?
Ma'am, please expand PFP.
Financial planning. Sir, that is in the field of finance. If you have some case study in the field of finance, can you share with us?
Ma'am, whatever actually, I have an association with Harvard Business School. So whatever cases I am using, that I can use only in my class, but I cannot distribute those cases. I have already told that you have to buy those cases. So whether it is
Okay.
on financial planning, but believe me, you name any topic and the cases are there. It will be
Okay.
either with Harvard or Ivy or Emerald. It is there.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And there's so many IM professors are also writing cases, so you can share their cases also. Although I found that their way of writing is little different from the Harvard style of writing. So you can follow either of the styles. So whom means whatever case you like, you can use in your class. First of all, the teacher should be satisfied that I like this case and this case can be useful in my class. That is the first important thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So by the end, I just request, I think it might be the end of the session, but the journey is long and we have learned and we'll be using these techniques that we have learned here in our own life experiences, teaching experiences. I would request Ms. Richa Jain to kindly offer a formal vote of thanks to Professor Pankaj Madan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my honor to be able to extend a formal vote of thanks. Firstly, I would like to express my immense gratitude to our resource person for the day, Dr. Pankaj. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge as well as valuable information in such a comprehensive manner. You have certainly helped us so as to build a foundation on how to approach a case, prepare a case, design a case, and how to frame a voting question, as well as how to make teaching notes as well. Your learnings and teachings, they would definitely help us in honing our problem solving, thinking, as well as our reasoning skills. It was a very interactive as well as an insightful session. I would like to offer my token of thanks to all the HODs, principals, research scholars from various institutes for taking out their time and for joining this workshop. A special thanks to our worthy chairman, sir, and a Padma Bhushan awardee, Mr. S.P. Oswal, who is also the chief patron of this workshop, for always motivating us and for giving us the platform so that we are able to hold such insightful workshops. A special gratitude to Mr. Sindhwani sir for always guiding us and for always motivating us so as again we are able to enhance our knowledge on a regular basis. A big thanks to the chairperson of this workshop and the principal of SSECM, Dr. Vishal Kumar, for always guiding us as well as pushing us forward so that we are able to do our best. It is because of his able leadership and efforts that we are continuously honing our skills as well as improving our knowledge on a regular basis with the help of such workshops as well as FDPs. I would like to thank Madam Monica, Madam Pooja, and Sanjay sir for this informational workshop. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the audience members for being such patient listeners and for their active participation. Thank you, everyone.
Just before leaving, Pankaj sir, may I also say something?
Yeah.
पंकज सर थैंक यू सो मच एक केस आपने दिया केस को डिस्कस कैसे करना है एक टीचर क्या प्रॉब्लम फेस कर सकते हैं केस को डिस्कस करने के लिए दैट वाज रियली ब्यूटीफुल बिकॉज अदरवाइज एक और कोई केस देख के भी आप सिखा सकते थे कि अच्छा ठीक है इसको कैसे पढ़ाना है बट एक केस के अंदर केस था एंड दिस केस वाज एक्चुअली डेडिकेटेड टू द केस डिस्कशन पार्ट सो दैट वाज रियली ब्यूटीफुल एंड ऑफ कोर्स बहुत एनग्रॉसिंग था क्योंकि सब लोगों को आपने इन्वॉल्व करके रखा एंड नोबडी आई थिंक लेफ्ट देयर PCs or mobile phones because anytime there could be any call from you to answer. So that kept us engaged and stick to our laptops and being there. So I think that was really fruitful and a lot of things to learn. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take
Thank
your
you.
leave
Can
now,
we
sir.
leave
Good
now?
day.
Yeah,
Thank you
good
so
day.
much, sir.